Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good night, everyone. This is Brother Benson, and I'm joined with my friend Miguda. Miguda, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Doing very much great over
Mm-hmm.
here. How about you
Wow.
over there?
I'm doing fine. How was your weekend?
My weekend was a bit good, but sometimes also I
Mm-hmm.
was also held up into one, two, three occasions.
Oh, okay.
So it was more of busy one.
Okay. All right. That's okay. And towards the weekend, we had President William Ruto was touring Mount Kenya, and that is something that we want to look at. And on us ourselves, we want to look at was President William Ruto tour out Mount Kenya was successful or it was a failure? That is something that it depends. I don't know what is your take? And also, we are also looking at the what happened yesterday to Rigathi Gachagua, the former deputy president, where he was attending a Sunday service and the goons went after him. We don't know the motive was, and the politics of violence. That is also something that we would want to talk about, and maybe if we have any news that might be coming our way, we will also that's and something to watch again. Former deputy president will be having an interview today at KTN from 7:30 p.m. We will be interesting. I think it will be a very good interview because he will be responding to some of the uh, remarks that were made during the president tour. Maybe on your side, if you have something to say.
I can say that it has been a busy week, as I said. Not
Yeah.
only a busy weekend, but a busy week as well. At the same time, there have been mixed reaction from the Mount Kenya visit. It has
Mm-hmm.
been resulted by, you can say, success and failures jointly. Some
Mm-hmm.
parts there was success, some part there was failures, and also there have been some revelation from top leaders. And I
Yeah.
believe that the public are now aware of the things that they were not aware before. So it has been a very busy week for the public at the same time for the industry of the country. And many things have happened, the way you just said. And
Mm-hmm.
also there are some people who have also lost their lives in tragic accident, if I may brief you. And
Yeah.
also we pledge our condolence to them and also the family.
Yeah. Sometimes it's so sad, especially when you lose your loved one, especially in a strategic, like let's say like road accident. Some of them are very scary. If you are one person that has been involved in road accidents, especially that involves vehicles, it's so scary. Some people are lucky enough to uh, not to perish, and when you talk to them and give you a story of what happened, you know unasema kwamba umeona kifo, yani umebahatika, yani Mungu amekupatia nafasi ya pili ya kuishi. Eh, ni- Asante sana Miguda. Swali langu la kwanza ambao mi nataka kukuuliza, my first question to you, when you look at the project tour of president to Mount Kenya, uh, was it successful or was it a failure?
It was, I believe that it all depends on the view of the person. But for me, I concluded that it was about failures and success at the same time. There was
Mm,
success and there were also failures in the tour of Mr. President. And
yeah.
as and their president, he also
Mm,
advised Mr. President to go and do some homework when he will be retiring back to Nairobi or State House,
okay.
because it is not business as usual in the Mount Kenya region. It is business unusual the way you expected. This is why I begin by saying that it was full of failures and success, because
Mhm.
when you look at the political timing, there he succeeded very well because the people he waited for a duration of time before going to the Mount Kenya to respond
Mm,
to explain to the people why he had to impeach his deputy who they were jointly elected on Pantichet Rigathi
mm,
Gachagua. In terms of timing, I said that it was successful, and
mm,
also the presence of audience, even though there were not huge number of the people, but even that small number, we can say that at least there was people to listen to him. Therefore, he
mm,
succeeded because even the small people were able to listen to Mr. President. Same time, he had that room to explain to the people, explanation room, whereby he was first received by a media house and he was able to explain to people why he had to come to that region at that particular time, why he had to differ with his deputy president, and so on
yeah.
and so forth. Also, you
Okay.
find that when it comes to the success, again, you can find
Mhm.
there were some exposés
Yeah.
whereby he tried to expose his deputy. And we are anticipating tonight to hear from deputy how he's going to respond to Mr. President. At the same time, that's the time when JB Muturi also tried to expose the deputy. What I wanted to say when it comes to failures,
Mm. Did I lose you, Mr.
the
Migura?
failures, no, no, you haven't lost me. I'm saying,
Mm.
can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
when it comes to failures, there
Mm.
were some there were some areas whereby we pointed out that Mr. President has to pull up his socks and also has to do some homework because
Mhm.
previously, when he used to go to Mount Kenya, the
Mm.
mountain was united behind him. But when now he goes back again, there was that division among the mountain people. There was that division. So, in my view, that division is a failure to him, and he need to rectify that. At the same time, there was allegations laid
Mm.
against him, but he never substantiate, he never respond to those allegations. So up to now, we don't know whether those allegations were true or false. At the same
Oh.
time, there was conflict of interest between the national government and the county government, whereby there are some projects that were supposed to be launched by the county government, but it goes ahead to launch them as the head of the state. Therefore,
Mm.
that to me is a failure. And lastly, the issue of low turnout of the people. Those are failure to him.
Okay. Thank you so much, Miguda, for your observation. Before I weighed in my thoughts whether the tour for Mr. President was successful or a failure, let me take this opportunity to help to welcome our good friend Dwari. I hope you are doing fine. To me, I also want to take the route that you've taken about failure. There are some failures that were experienced and success also. To start with, I feel President was successful in his tour, and this is informed by, it took President 6 months immediately after impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua to find how he can access Mount Kenya. Remember, one of the strategies that President used was to appoint some of the big figures or some of the names that have been very, very known, especially in Mount Kenya politics. We talk about Mwangi wa Iria was appointed, talk about Lee Kinyanjui, talk about Kabogo, talk about Mutai Kagwe. Peter Kenneth, I don't know whether Peter Kenneth really took his appointment that were made by the president because he's so quiet. I don't know whether he declined the appointment, but those were the names that that were brought in. So that was one way in which president was trying to find a way in which I can access Mount Kenya. Then after that, also it was also said that he kind of like procured the services of Maina Njenga. Remember when Maina Njenga stormed one of the meetings, prayer meetings held by the wife of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, and even prior before that, in the eve of New Year, Maina Njenga, and he said that they are supporting government. They don't want to move. So I think by him going to the mountain, to me, I feel that was success. So when we're looking at it like being successful, it depends on how you're looking at it. And another thing that I might say that it was successful because the president had an opportunity now to engage with the locals one on one, and tell him his mind concerning the Rigathi Gachagua. And even before starting the tour, remember he said how Rigathi Gachagua demanded something like around 10 billion. And now this billion is, I think, like there must be there was a conversation between the two about the billions, because remember even during the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua mentioned something that it was offered 2 billion. So if I can offer you 2 billion so that you resign, you remember that accusation, you know. So if the billions are talking, which means like that could have been a situation whereby they discussed about the money. So is that like both of them are not telling an exact amount that each one of them offered, or they differed, you know, they differed. Maybe somebody wanted too much and they did not reach an agreement. So that is something that we point out, it was successful. But now when we come to failures, one of the failures that I would say, or what I saw, is about some of the projects that the president launched, you know. Some of them were not worth him launching, you know. For example, when you saw the sewer pipe that the president launched, you know, that one, I feel like it was failure to him. Yeah, that is one thing that I would also say. Another failure that I would point out was about the heckling, which we will talk about, and some of the things that I really picked from that before we come in. Because like, if his ambassadors, the people whom should be his uh, ambassadors to the area, were being heckled, including Kimani Chungwa, to me that is a failure, and that is a message to him. And which is, as you said earlier, that he should go back to the State House and go back to the drawing board. Because if the people that are very loyal to you, people who are very loyal to you, are being heckled on the ground, then that alone is a message. Let's see what Duari says. I don't believe him. He lies every day and every time. So that also was about what Duari has said, is that so many people did not believe what he's saying. Because like right now in the environment where we are, you find that there's a population right now in Kenya that do not believe what president says. You know, whether president is right or wrong, nobody will believe what president says. So that also might have also played a part, and might be failure on his side. Remember, even before going to the tour, when he had the journalist, he talked about Kenya exporting tea to Sudan, and immediately the ambassador for Sudan wrote a letter uh, encountering what president said. So that is something that on the time of failures, that is something that I picked out. So maybe if you have something that also you might speak.
Yeah, you have talked about the another thing whereby I wanted to say that the issue of lying. Of
Mhm.
course, it is now in the public domain that if he's not lying, he's flying. That one we know, and
Yeah.
that's why we say that when talk about the issue of failures, he never substantiate the allegations which have been laid to him by Kenyan people. He has been accused of many things as the head of state by the people
Mhm.
of Mountain Kenya. They have
Yeah.
accused him of betrayal. They have accused him of lying. They have
Mm.
accused him of launching projects which are for Uhuru. They have accused him of stall projects. So he ought to have explained to the people all those
Yeah.
accusations, and he ought to have bring attention of the people that as far the accusation rendered towards me, the
Mhm.
following ones, I'm out of them. But he never try, even never attempt to explain the story. That's why I still believe that when you talk of the issue of lying, that one
Yeah.
is undisputed. He's a liar. That's why we still say, okay, he ought to have one of the that's one of the failures, but he ought to have substantiate the allegations which have been laid to him by the members of public.
Yeah.
That one he failed. So when he's retiring, you also need to check on that. As that at the head of state, he need to be truthful person because he's the head of the state and a
Mhm.
symbol of national unity. At the same time, he
Mhm.
preside over a state whereby there are many nations. You need to be
Mhm.
someone who can be trusted because if you are not trusted, it means there is that trust deficit between you and those the public. That one we have pointed out.
Okay, thank you so much, Miguda, for pointing out that. Let me take this opportunity to thank the following on the Facebook. Alex Omwaro, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're doing fine. I'll look for you. I know you very well. I will call you so we can have a conversation. Miguda, as we talk about successes and failure of the president trip, um, I want to share with you some few things that I picked from the tour of Central Kenya by the president, as I compare it to some other areas that president has toured, especially, you know, um, when president gave out his itinerary that he will be going for Mount Kenya, people had mixed reaction. One, people were saying Rigathi Gachagua has dominated the Central Kenya politics and is like a kingpin, and people were anticipating that we are going to see ugly scenes in the president visit. But that is something that we did not actually seen. We saw a crowd that was very receptive to the president. We saw crowd that was having an engagement with the president. We saw a crowd that were heckling other leaders, but not the president. But one thing that I really picked that was very important during the entire 5 days of president visit was about the silence of Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua was silent. He was so quiet that he was not even talking about the president tour during the days that president was in Mount Kenya. And there are people who are allied, or leaders who are allied to Gachagua, who also attended the meetings, especially the Nyeri governor, and I think Maua, member of parliament, they attended, and even some of them, one of them pledge allegiance to the president. So the silence of Rigathi Gachagua, what to you, what do you say about it? Because that is you're communicating, because we know that Gachagua will always respond when you attack him or when you say something. But during this time, Rigathi Gachagua was quite silent, and he was not engaging even in the social media, apart from the first day that president had the interview in the state lodge.
First, let me just explain the fact that you are a kingpin in a certain region
Yeah.
doesn't bar people to come to your region. Even Kalonzo
Yes.
is a comeback kingpin, Odinga's account is a low kingpin, but leaders have been coming to their region. The fact that Gachagua has
Mm.
proclaimed to be the Mount Kenya kingpin doesn't bar William Ruto to go to Mount Kenya, and doesn't bar William Ruto to all rallies and also
Yeah.
have his audience to speak to. That one must
Yeah.
be taken into consideration. That the fact that is a pro Mount Kenya kingpin, but
Mhm.
people have to penetrate to Mount Kenya because it's part of the country, and also they are
Mhm.
leaders of this country. That one, even
Yeah.
Kachoka one day we want to go to Kamba, we want to go to Nyanza, we want to go to Rift Valley. We need to see the same reception which was
Yeah.
accorded to Mr. President, accorded to other leaders. We have talked about the issue of silence. The issue of silence, in my view, is
Mhm.
just another calculative move or a strategy by politicians. He wanted
Mhm.
William Ruto to argue his case before the Makenya people. Then he can
Yeah.
come back and respond. It's like it was giving him time to express
Mhm.
whatever he wanted to express and expose whatever he can expose.
Mhm.
Which to me, that was a very good move by Gachagua because there was no need of push and pull within that period of
Yeah.
time. He
Mhm.
allowed the state to speak
Mhm.
his mind, and then right now he can
Mhm.
respond to all allegations laid up to him. It's a matter of you. Someone is alleging that you have done so and so, but you have time to respond. So
Yeah.
there's allegations and there's a
Mhm.
respondent at the appropriate time. Timing is
Okay.
very important in politics, and that's what Gachagua was observing. And that's why today people are anticipating to hear from him. Even
Yeah.
if you miss in action in politics,
Yeah.
people
Mhm.
want to know why are you quiet, and those are one of the
Yeah.
strategies. So he can come back today, and maybe he can have a comeback that can
Yeah.
can can rubbish the entire 1 week tour. That's what we are waiting to hear from him at around 7:30 East African time.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's coming in the next few minutes, but I'm also looking at it like maybe Rigathi Gachagua was looking at it in terms of development, because he said that these are goodies that are coming to my region. As somebody who has interest of my people, when good things come to my region, be it that we are we have difference in political the views in politics, or we disagree with you in the political field, but now when it comes to things to do with development, that is something that I cannot fight. So let me keep quiet as they deliver the development. So immediately after us getting those development, then I can respond. That's how I was looking at it. Then secondly, also I was looking at it as regard also was taking time to study the ground. What is the ground saying, or what is the message that ground will be sending to the president? So from there, Rigathi Gachagua can use the data that is collected from the ground to the president to help him or to assist him to strategize in his politics for Mount Kenya, utilizing on the weaknesses that maybe the president encountered during Mount Kenya, and also looking at the strength. Where are the strength, and how can I deal with this strength of the president? So I think keeping silent was a good thing for Rigathi Gachagua, because he was collecting data. Because now he would talk of he would talk of now the people who are allied to president. Majority of them were called, including Kimani Ichung'wa. How can how is Rigathi Gachagua going to use that? And that one tells him, okay, the people are not with the leaders, because and that is also standing message to president that, okay, we will not heckle you as the president, but to your ambassadors, those who you entrusted to come and talk to us, we don't want them. So you president also, you are on the red flag, so you need to start looking on ways in which to work with the people who understands everything that we are going through in the ground here. So that is what I think about the silence of Rigathi Gachagua. Maybe if you had something to add on that before we come to the heckling of leaders.
That's why I talked about issue of leadership. You must
Mm-hmm.
demonstrate your leadership, even if you have different someone or in opinion. Things like when an head of state is coming to your region, even that
Yeah.
head of state is a liar, but
Mm-hmm.
he is an head of state of the Republic of Kenya. That's why we say we all pay allegiance to Mr. President. But
Mm-hmm.
the fact that we love our country, we are
Yes.
not also mandated to love him. We don't need to love him. We can have
Mm-hmm.
our opinion ourselves. And that's why when also we wanted to connect with the people that truly is a leader, because whenever there's a good is coming to the region, he's not opposed
Mm-hmm.
to it. He's only opposed to the politics of betrayal. I wanted
Yes.
also to look at the people who encourage Mr. President, that you people, are you connected with the people? Because like unlike him, he's never heckled in Mount Kenya. But the leaders who are entering Mr. President were heckled. So he's trying to tell Mr. President, if you must go to Mount Kenya, even though you are accusing me of demanding
Mm-hmm.
10 billions from you to give the Mount
Mm-hmm.
Kenyan votes, but if you must go to Mount Kenya, you must look for the right people who are
Yeah.
connected directly with the people. Unlike the people we are working with, they are not connected. There's a disconnect between the people we are working with and the people. Unlike me, who even without your without your presence, I'm directly connected with the people of Mount Kenya. So I believe that that's also a clear indication to the other side that you need to dominate that region. That I have no problem. In fact,
Yeah.
we have no enmity. The only thing we are different than president is that he betrayed the whole community and he lied to us as a community. If he could have not lied to the community, or he could have not betrayed the community, then we could have
Mm-hmm.
worked with him going forward. I think that he wanted just to also express and argue his case before the people.
Okay, thank you so much. And what can you say about the political maturity of people of Mount Kenya, especially because people are anticipating of ugly scenes, as compared, let's say, for example, sometimes back when president were not in good terms with the right honorable prime minister, especially if he visited Nyanza. Sometimes it was very difficult for president even to access some areas or to get some reception from the whole community, But when you look at how the Mount Kenya residents especially carried out themselves despite the disagreement between the Rigathi Gachagua and His Excellency President William Ruto, but the crowd were very receptive, and there were no ugly scenes witnessed during the gatherings or the rallies that president had. What does it say? What does it tell you about Mount Kenya in terms of political maturity?
There, I will try to differ with the people, because
Yeah.
it's not only all about Mount Kenya being mature
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to politics. In
Mm-hmm.
Mount Kenya region, it is not only exclusive for the Kikuyu nation,
Mhm.
but also we have other people living in that region. Like you can't
Mhm.
say that the entire Mount Kenya, the residents are only Kikuyus. No,
Yeah.
Kenyans
Mhm.
are living in Mount Kenya region, and
Yeah.
other Kenyans are also part and parcel of Mount Kenya. So when you talk about Mount Kenya region, you talk about the
Yeah.
Kenya being part of it. And the even leaders during it is more of cosmopolitan. Like even if you go, you can't purport that it is only the Kikuyu nation who are attending all those rallies for William Ruto. So I can just say that to an extent, the people of Mount Kenya and other Kenyans who are part and parcel of the crowds, they have
Mhm.
expressed maturity when it comes to the receiving leadership. And also, you find
Okay.
that most of these political rallies they are being
Yeah.
organized on market days. And on market
Mhm.
days, you find that some people have come from maybe Kukambani to Mount Kenya. Some people have come
Mhm.
from Garissa to Mount Kenya. So it cannot be a Mount Kenya thing. People have traveled all along from other regions to come for the market day in that region. And if
Yeah.
the reason why we still insist on the low turnout, because if
Yeah.
you go and look at all those rallies were organized on the market days, on the
Yeah.
specific days on those regions. Therefore, if those were the market days and people
Mhm.
turn lowly, what about the days which are not on market days? That's why Mr. President has a problem on Kenya. And in fact, it was mobilized. It was mobilized. It was a market day. There was a lot of turnout. This is why I have to give that example because even if you want to organize a rally in Kisii region, you don't
Mhm.
go to Kisii region on a Saturday. You will not get
Yes.
crowd. People will be in churches. That's why
Yes.
if you look at this politician, when they want to have a rally in Kisii, they go on
Mm.
Friday or they target other days, but they will never go on Kisii on Saturday because you will not get audience to address. That's I
Yeah.
still believe that when it comes to the issue of maturity, the
Mhm.
Kenyan people have embraced that there's that issue of tolerance that even though I don't like my president, I don't need to
Mhm.
heckle him, I don't need to mobilize goons to attack him. I can just allow him to have his speech. Then at the end of the day, it's my own decision to make at the ballot. The fact that I disagree with you doesn't lead to
Yeah.
violence.
And that one means that people are of cognizant that the institution of presidency, it doesn't matter who is the president, but they respect the institution of presidency or the institution of head of state. Am I right to say so, sir? I lost Miguda, and I hope he's coming back. Miguda, can you hear me?
I can, yeah, you can hear me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm saying the fact that it is good now. I'm happy because when an head of state visits a region and there was no much heckling towards him, or there was no organized gangs, because you are but there's no you do that job. Some people, I told you that some people started doing these things as early as 2007. If you look at those people who are surrounds Baba's car, some
Mhm.
faces are familiar. From 2007 to date, they are still you are still guarding Baba's car. For how long will you guard Baba's car? You need to get
Yeah.
something to do. You don't need to be on that gonism for quite long, even 20 years. That's why I can see people are tired. People knows very well that what I can say that the civic education has
Mhm.
reached most of the part of the country.
Mhm. Okay, Mr.
And
Miguda.
people knows very well that like you. I like those people who missed the rally because there was really of going to that rally. If at all you know that you are going to heckle or you dislike Mr. President because it can hurt a certain word which cannot be well with you. Then you can end up maybe heckling or maybe responding by throwing stones like other people have done before. So I
Okay.
believe that if you don't like a politician, we still insist on the civic education that we understand now people understand this thing. They understand the institution that is the
Yeah.
president of the Republic of Kenya. They understand the
Yeah.
institution that is the governor of this area. And they also understand that there is that coordination between the president and governor. And whenever there's a link between the head of state and the governor, it means that
Mhm.
to a certain, even if my governor disagree with the president, even if my governor is not appointed the same ticket with the president. But when president
Mhm.
come to my region, there's that
Mhm.
obligation by my governor to welcome the president to the podium. There's that obligation by my governor to go and meet the president so that they can work on certain projects. I think, in my view, let us just applaud the Kenyans because at least we are advancing in terms of democracy, and it's good because we have come from far. We have a East as a country whereby there was at a certain time
Yeah.
whereby you could not held any rally in certain region, or
Yeah,
if you are affiliated with certain people, you could not
yeah.
have room to mix with other people. So I think we are advancing when it comes because we have history, and from the history, we are also advancing.
Okay. Thank you so much. And that's why we should give congratulations to Mutai Kaiga, the governor for Nyeri. You know, he decided to do his role as a leader, especially when head of state is visiting. As a leader, you should be there to welcome the head of state and give the challenges that you're facing that you want the head of state to address for you or to assist you with, so that you can um, give good services to the people that you lead. Miguda, I don't know whether you also picked this. There's something that I really picked about the president tour. The issue of broad-based government and tribalism was not really something that even the president talked about, because you can go back in the history when the president is in other areas. He talks about Ukabila, even the people that he has talks about Ukabila. But if you're very keen, during the Mount Kenya tour, the Ukabila word was missing. It was not so much talked about, and also there was no presence of broad-based government. I mean, like remember when president came to Nyanza tour, I saw in other areas he carried with himself Kimani Chungwa, and he would speak in those regions. But if you're very keen on the Mount Kenya tour, it was about all leaders from Mount Kenya who were in the president entourage, and they're the only people who were speaking. I did not hear of uh, mambo ya ukabila, you know, you know. What does this one tells you? Does it mean that each and every region has the message that they feel will resonate with them, or what was that this one all about? I don't know whether you picked that. I might be wrong in my picking what I saw.
I believe we have talked about it in this channel that the broad-based government was popular in certain region, but in certain region
Mm,
it was unpopular. Just like the handshake. The handshake was never popular in Mount Kenya. The same way broad-based government was never popular in Mount Kenya. Therefore, it was only popular in Nyanza. That when you go to Nyanza province, you talked about broad-based government, you work with those
mm,
leaders, you work with the CS, and you appeal to the audience that we are in broad-based government. Then if you go to
mm.
Mount Kenya, it is not
Yeah,
popular. Therefore, there's no need of talking about it. And I think that one as a politician, the president scored there. There is no need of talking about it. And I think that one as a politician, the president scored there
good.
because
I
I
lost.
disagree with Mr. President. When talk, we are told that,
Mm.
can you hear me? I
Yes, I
think
can
I'm
hear
back.
you.
Okay,
Yes, you're
I'm
back.
saying we were told the issue of tribalism, that tribalism, the reason why Gachaga was impeached was because of tribalism. And none other than Mr. President talked in Kisumu Kondele that yule jamaa wa Kabila
Mm,
nimemfukuza ameenda nyumbani. It is
mm.
now also another time that we have been vindicated that it was never about tribalism. Rigathi
Yeah.
Gachagua was never impeached because of tribalism. None other than Mr. President again stated in the joint media interview that the reason why Gachagua was impeached is because of three reasons. And reason number one, that Gachagua had cases with junior staffs, that among their ranks, there were junior staffs like the personal assistant of the president, like the president
Faruqi there.
blogger, who had some issues with the deputy president. So the deputy president used to have cases with those junior staff, and that's the reason why he sought to impeach Gachagua. Number two, he said that Gachagua also demanded 10 billion so that he can give Mount Kenyan people to Mr. President. Then lastly, he said that there was a disagreement between MPs in Mount Kenya and Gachagua. That Gachagua said that before December, if you are not aligned to me, all of you will go home. Then the AP said, okay, December, and you are the mandated people to impeach you. Then before December, we are sending you home. So he said it clearly that Gachaga was sent home simply because there was that disagreement between him and members of parliament from Kenya region. At the same time, there were those cases between him and junior staffs, and also there was that case of 10 billion. He never mentioned anything to do with tribalism. That's why I still
Yeah.
believe that there was no impeachment process, that Gachagua was tribal leader. And now that
Mm,
Mr. President spoke it out clearly that He never talked about the issue of tribalism in Mount Kenya. He never talked about the issue of broad-based government. But when he's in Nyanza province, he's busy about tribalism and broad-based government. And that's why we're advising the people of Luo Nyanza that this issue of you people, you are being
Mhm.
put to fight with the Kikuyu nation, that people like Gaucho is saying that at the Wakikuyu na Kabila. Why is Gaucho castigating such stuff? And Mr. President himself, when he's that region, is avoiding the tribalism thing, is avoiding the broad-based government. You see, those are things we have been saying that the people who are at the lower level in the context of politics, you should not
Mhm.
engage into unnecessary utterances which you do not know where they originated. Because when you talk about this issue of tribalism, Mr. President
Yeah.
just want to make the wrangles between the Luo nation and the Kikuyu nation. The fact when when Luos and Kikuyus are in contrast, it is his own advantage. But when Luos and Kikuyus are united, it is against their advantage because they can send him home as early as when we open the ballot, the polling station. That is why I still want to insist that I agree with you that the broad-based politics was not played in Mount Kenya, and the tribalism card was also not pulled in Mount Kenya.
and 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 what is this message sending to the people of Kenya in general? Because if this is something that when you go to other region, it picks the card usually picks the number one list. Remember when the president was in Western Kenya, an MP was talking about isolation of Mount Kenya, and that is profiling a community or a region. But that is something that we did not witness during the president tour. And even when that MP came out and talked about that, the president did not kind of like come and say, okay, no, that is not kind of politics that we want to do. He did not mention anything about that. But now in Mount Kenya, that was something that the issue of tribalism, the issue of broad-based government that we've mentioned was not in his points. It was pure development and talking to the people of Mount Kenya, having one-on-one conversation with them. So what should the voters, or we call them the commoners, you know learn from that?
The governors also should not follow leaders blindly. I heard some people are saying that us we follow him blindly. No, sometimes you also need not to suspend your brain as a commoner, because you
Mm-hmm.
can follow somebody blindly and you are going to lose it as a
Mm-hmm.
commoner, but with him he's going to gain
Yeah.
because like I've told you, the division between the Luo nation and Ku nation is benefiting William Ruto. But when the
Mm-hmm.
Luo nation and Kikus are united, it's disadvantageous to William Ruto. That is why I say believe that this issue of following people blindly
Mm-hmm.
should come to an end. At the same time, the
Mm-hmm.
commoner also, let them not pick anything that Aproche say. Aproche will only speak whenever it is convenient to him. Like he wanted that room, that comfortable room, for him to
Mm-hmm.
transverse through Mount Kenya. Therefore, he must avoid things like broad-based, things like
Mm-hmm.
tribalism,
Yeah.
and even this issue of tribalism. Kimani Ichung'wah never attacked or Gachagua about tribalism. He just said other things. But whenever he's in Nyanza or other region, he said
Yeah.
that yule mkabila nilimfukuza nyumbani. It means
Uh,
that these narratives is how they are playing in different countries. And that's what sometimes I tell people. Don't travel. Don't be stagnant in one location. Don't just be in
uh,
Luo Nyanza or you are just in
mm,
Ukambani or just in Kikuyu. Try to travel across the country. When you try to travel across the country, you'll have a global perspective of looking at things. Like, when you are in Mount Kenya,
yeah.
and try to even use this public means of transport in Mount Kenya, you will hear people talking. People will tell that Kasongo is a one-term president. Kasongo will go home. People tell that
Mm,
uh, when Uhuru Kenyatta speak, we will listen to him. People tell things like broad-based government is unpopular, Gachagua is
mhm,
trouble. But if you are in Nyanza again, Ruben's
mhm,
government is popular, is disembraced, William Ruto, Kumibila break. So you need to travel across the country and have a global perspective so that when you are called in a panel to air your thoughts, you bring things that are they are of common purpose for the all people. Because if you sideline that you are only in Kondele, you
mm,
cannot have a global perspective of how politics are run. And that's why Stefuna is scoring it. Stefuna,
mm,
when he's sitting in Nairobi, is having a view of the
mm,
entire country. That's why he was saying
mm,
that even if Raila Odinga support William Ruto,
yeah.
me as Stefuna, I'll not vote for him. Why was he saying that? He was saying that because in Luo Nyanza or in Raila's stronghold base, you'll find that people know that, okay, Baba final. You follow Baba blindly, but that is not the case. So somebody thinks that
Mm.
if he's following Baba blindly, even if someone in Nyeri or
Yeah.
someone in Belgoat is also following
Yeah.
Baba blindly. No, those people don't follow Baba blindly. Those people, to them, Baba is something else. But in
Okay.
Nyanza, Baba is a hero. The same way in central in Rift Valley, Ruto is a
Yeah.
hero. But in that part
Yeah.
of the country, Ruto is never a hero. So if you have that
Yeah.
global perspective of thoughts as a voter, then you know the
Mm.
right person to vote for.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's talk about our last point is going to be on the crowd mobilization. And from all indication and what we gather, there are allegation that this is one of the costly crowd that has ever happened in the political landscape, especially in Kenya, because on the social media you would see a crowd of border riders was escorting the president. Crowd, like a massive number. It was a very large population in the entourage of the president, which has never happened in any country. Actually, we saw it in Kenya. And even there's a soundbite of one border guy, what he said. I don't know whether you on it is on online. Let me just play the soundbite, then you can listen to it. Before we go on to the crowd, then we discuss something about it. Niliambia watu wa Nyanza, Wakikuyu ni watu wengine wako top. Mliona kwani mlikuwa mnapewa 200. Lakini nasikia Mount Kenya zinazunguka ngapi? Jongo tano. Jongo tano ama 2 ama 3 ama 1. Hakuna chini ya dhao. Ni majongo tu. Na kwani kwa mnapewa 200. Na mnaruka ruka huko kama bata kiengeji. Kumi. Mimi. Wewe kuamua ndio kwenye sahi yako. Uko kwenye napenda 5,000 ndio wenye kuamua. Usibishane na mtu. Kuja na proof. Miguda.
Eh, that's those are the people I've explained to you. That
Yeah,
person is a local and a resident of that region. He's not having a global perspective of the Kenyan.
yeah.
Because let me tell you one thing. During
Mm,
the previous election, when Ruto was in UDA, when Ruto was going
mm,
to those areas whereby it was Odinga dominant regions, he used to
yeah.
give them even those 5Ks, those 3Ks, those 2Ks. But when he was in
Mm,
Mount Kenya, because Mount Kenya was a weekly basis, every Sunday was Mount Kenya, he never used to
mm,
spend that much to the people. So it is always that wherever there's an hostile reception, you first ensure
mm,
that you entice them with a certain
mm,
amount of money. But that's not the case. If you call those residents of Kondele, even those residents of Suna East, when they were promoting the broad-based government, they were given
mm.
1,000 shillings. No, none was given less than 1,000. That one I can say because I also received intel from the ground. They were given a
Yeah.
thousand. They were nothing like 200 or 500. They were 1,000 bob, and that was very
Mm,
clear. And that's why if you saw that rally of Kondele, there was massive reception of the crowd because 1,000 bob was much for those people. And when he went to Mount Kenya, it can be 5Ks, but I can say that it was not 200. That's why I told that you need to have that global perspective of the
yeah.
country. And what I want to say about the issue of people turning lowly or why people even after mobilization people have to turn low.
Mm,
You also have to look at the seasons. Currently, people are not engaged into political mood.
mm,
The politics has not been activated in the country. And I
yeah.
think towards 2026 or 27, you don't even need to call people. People just come to your rally because politics will be everywhere. Every day politics, every day politics. But right now, people don't even care about politics. We have seen this thing before. Sometimes people tend to do their things. They concentrate in their farms. They concentrate their
Mm,
markets. But when that time of politics comes out, you will see people will come on those rallies. But this issue of also Mount Kenya also coming in low number, also I can say that initially they used to go to Mount Kenya weekly, every Sunday. They used to worship in Mount Kenya. But
mm,
now this person has been missing in action. It means that he
yeah.
has also lost ground. Yeah, people also might, this person used to come here every weekly, but we are no longer seeing him. So people have no agenda with him. That's why those crowd has to be low. So I believe that the resident also need to do his research and sometimes need to call across the country before uttering such word that the Nyanza people were given 200. No. Nyanza were never given 200. Never, Nyanza people were given 1,000 bob. And it is there. If you go to Kondele people, they will tell you. At the same time,
Mhm.
it is always obvious that whenever I'm suing you, when I want to be on my team, I must spend a lot
Mhm.
of money. Even a girl, I'm interested in a lady. I want a lady. We have not yet reached into that period, maybe of
Mhm.
courting, or we are not even spouses. It's still out there for grab. You must spend the much you have for you to get that lady. But the one you have in the house, you don't need to spend so much. Like the Nyanza votes, they're already in the basket of William. He doesn't need to spend much to the Nyanza people, and he has them in the house. The one is hunting for at the Mount Kenya people. So he can even spend 10,000. But doesn't mean that he will spend 10,000 every day. It's just to
Mhm.
entice you to vote for him. Then he will tell you, bye bye, people. We will meet next time.
Now, when we talk of about crowd mobilization and where it might come with a price tag, is not necessarily what we are talking about Mount Kenya, but we want to talk as a as general in terms of our country, where when we are engaging in the political processes, it reaches a point whereby for us or for young people to engage or anybody to engage in political processes, that mobilization has to come with a price tag on it. Do you see we will have maybe at some point a leadership that we want?
For now, I can say it is not easy. It's not
Mm,
easy because it has been a norm in the country that
mhm,
people,
mhm,
everybody, I can say that everybody has been affected. We thought
mhm,
that the Gen Z could overhaul the whole system, but we found that the Gen Zs are also part of the problem because you find that even them, they are being affected. There are some of them who their right hand is with the movement, their left hand is in the system. So the system has already affected the current generation. And I think
mhm,
that it is only possible through a revolution. Through a
mhm,
revolution, it can work for the country. That it is only by revolution that we can restore the system of this country. Because if the current generation we have right now, some of us
mhm.
have also been affected, and even some of us we attend those rallies to get money. And some of us
Yeah,
also are working for the same politicians as bodyguards. We
yeah,
guard their cars. We
yeah,
are intelligence to them. We brief them. And like
yeah.
I can be a NIS agent. Some of us are NIS agents. So you can see that even the Gen Zs are affected.
Mm.
It means that now the current generation are affected. The only way, and that's
Mhm.
why we wanted it, is revolution.
Now, when you talk about revolution and you look at the word mobilization, and mobilization is maybe to talk to people or entice them to come towards you to assist you pushing your agenda. And this is, we are not only seeing it, or we are not only experiencing it with the politicians going on the ground. Even at some point, I hope you've heard all this allegation about in the legislative house, whereby people were saying they were, some of them went to the toilet, they were given a brown envelope. And if you see it's happening even in the institutions like parliament, those accusations or allegations are being peddled around, and it also comes to the wananchi themselves. Yeah. Um, oh, what will happen, especially for the young people who want to get employment, if the only way they can get their money is them getting mobilized? Then the employment or the relevant leaders or the relevant institution is not working a way in which to create employment.
I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
the Kenya we want is not the Kenya
Mm-hmm.
we have. And the Kenya we
Yeah.
want is far-fetched right now
Mm-hmm.
because we form part of the problem. Even though we were accusing the millennials and the Gen X and the older people, but
Yeah.
we're also affected because we are being used by this the issue of mobilization.
Mm-hmm.
Who are being mobilized? It's the Gen Zs who are being mobilized. And who are
Yeah.
paying those money? It's the Gen Zs who are paying those money. And if the institutions are corrupt, these things are
Mm-hmm.
coming from the top. From the institutions, they are corrupt. And even I can say that not only parliament, but also even the executive, there's a lot of corruption there. It come down to the people, those rallies, and
Mm-hmm.
even at rally, even as a youth man, youth man is being used by this politicians. And I told you this thing. Some people don't have their own opinion. And
Mm-hmm.
it's very unfortunate for a young person that the opinion of a young person who is in the podcast or who is in the Bunge la Wananchi or
Yeah.
who is in the rally.
Mhm.
It is an opinion of a certain leader in parliament, an informed opinion. That for instance, if someone speak about tribalism, maybe speaking a mind of a certain legislature in parliament who also want division of the Luo and
Mhm.
Kikuyus because he understand that the division of Luo and Kikuyus is
Mhm.
convenient for his community and
Yeah.
is now using someone to speak to the people to spread that artery because with him as a legislature he
Mhm.
cannot speak such things because he understands that he is an honorable member and there is how he can communicate. So even you can that's why I'm saying that it's very important that you can find even some people, those people who are speaking, they don't speak their mind. That
Mhm.
those minds or those thoughts are influenced by certain people. That's why I see that Kenya we want is far-fetched right now, but I still believe on the revolution, even though the issue of mobilization, but the people want to, the people should revolve the country, and the people who are now being mobilized. And when there was a time when we caught these people, they were sleeping. We caught them
Mhm.
unaware on 25th
Mhm.
June. But
Mhm.
now they have reorganized and strategized, and they have divided people. How I wish one day they go back to their slumber and people
Mhm.
just take over.
Now, when you say how you wish, but you find that um, members of the public themselves, like the mobilization, or we call it the tokenism in politics, has been normalized. Like it's something that has been uh, a norm in our country, including politicians, whereby you find people have queues in line, and they give this money, and the same time those who are giving the money are the same people that you have sent to parliament to go and legislate on laws to do with campaigns, especially on regulating the finances. How can it be so that they're the people who are going to regulate and the same people who are giving it out? How can will it work even in the parliament in the first place? Because they know that the only way they can win, they're not winning on good ideologies or good vision or good leadership, but they are winning on the basis of heavy, on how your pocket is heavy or how you can oil your campaigns.
There now it depends because you can find that some of the constituents you elect
Mm,
good leaders. Some people will not look at the person who is. We have had people with money. We have had people
mm,
who have money in the country and they have never make it to parliament or they have never
mm,
met with the council of governors because of their
yeah,
monies. They have been
mm,
rejected their monies. I think there are some constituents whereby they look at a leader who is visionary. They look at a leader on how he represents himself, on how he speaks, on how he can legislate in terms of representation, in terms of oversight, and that who is anti-corruption. Those are the
mm,
some leaders who have been elected some region, but you can find even there are some leaders who have contested with huge money, but they have never made it to parliament. And I
mm.
believe now that's why I say that it depends. It's now from one constituency they have. Those people in a certain constituency,
Yeah.
they can elect you because of how deep your pocket is. But there are some
Mm,
people who will not bother about how deep your pocket is. I've seen several instances. I just can't explain here. There are those
mm,
who have made it parliament like thrice time, and their competitors have been different people, different political season. The person
mm.
who contested with him in 2022 is not the same
Yeah.
person who contested with him in 2017 and 2013. And all of those three people, they are different
Yeah.
people with deep pockets, but he has
Mhm,
enabled to beat them down because
mhm.
of his policies and his development agenda and his way of representation, his way of legislation. I believe
Yeah.
that that's how we should look at a leader. We should look at a leader at personal level and visionary. And also we should look at the issue of a person we are electing. That's why I still believe
Mm,
that even though it is a norm in society that people with deep pockets are also always manipulating voters,
mm,
for instance, that they are making into the public offices. As the people, we should look at the person history. If that's the least we should look at, and that's what I would say. The least it should be the person history. If someone has been engaged in corruption, we don't need to take this person. Even if someone has come with a deep pocket, we must question that this money. For there are young people,
yeah.
who have huge money. You can ask them, how long did you work? For how long have you worked? Even your age mates, even if you are employed in a Safaricom company as
Mm,
a CEO, if you have not even worked for even 10 years, and you have money that can facilitate presidential campaign as a young person of 28, surely, where
Yeah.
did you get this money? So you don't need to like somebody because somebody is having deep pockets, not because somebody. You just need to look at someone in terms
Yeah.
of there are qualities of leadership. Someone who can serve, servant leadership, and someone also
Yeah.
who is down to earth. And that's why some people have
Mhm.
got it right when it comes to members of parliament and governors. And I can just cite some people without any fear of consequences because they have worked. People like
Mhm.
Irungangata. Irungangata's work. There was a probability of electing Jamle Kamau in Branga County.
Yeah.
People outdo Jamle Kamau over Irungangata from senator. And now
Yeah.
he's delivering to the people of Branga County. People also had to add options. They could have let some such people over Babu Owino or over Didi Nyoro or over this MP of Kasipul. We usually mention Babu and Didi. There's this one from Kasipul also called Ongondo Were. He was also mentioned as
Ongondo
one of
Were.
the good MP. Ongondo Were
Uh-huh.
was also, is also doing best in Kasipul. Even this
Mhm.
MP of Mumias East, there was probability of even electing Washiali. But people opted to Salasia over Washiali. Why? Because people saw
Mhm.
something Salasia, which was and Bashali is damn well compared to Salasia. That's why I say believe that even if some people have money and it's a norm,
Mhm.
let us also view the history of somebody, also let
Yeah.
us view capacity or capability of a leader who can like now we are going for elections in 2027.
Mhm.
There are those people who are senators who want to be governors, but
Yeah.
they have never done anything as senators. But the fact that they have money, they want to go and contest. And someone was also saying that the 27 election is going to dish out money like never before, and he is going to
Yeah.
be elected as the governor. It means that now with him, the only strength for him to go to Council of Governors, or the only strength for him to go to the Legislative Council, is is money, not politics. So you have
Okay.
money, you are going to make it, but you are not qualified to be even a senator or a governor or an MP. I think even though we blame those leaders, at the same time, as the people, not everybody, there are some constituents which have adapted very well and they are doing good, they are
Mhm.
progressing very well. So we should emulate that. Why is it that these people have been ranked so and so? Because of the quality of a person, the qualification of a leader should be
Mhm.
number one consideration.
Okay. Thank you so much. Let me take this opportunity to say hi, Gibson Connor. Hi, Brother Benson Media. Hi, how are you doing? Hi to me. Good. Given brown envelopes in the toilets. Yes, it used to be there. I don't know which year, which I don't know what something need to be passed in Parliament, and there was that accusation and allegation that there was some money that were dished in the toilets. Waende nyumbani. Dwege amesema ende. Thank you, Brenda, for following. So now, because like this is when it comes to mobilization, is something that we need to talk about into detail, because I tend to believe this, that the reason even why the politicians tend to dish out so much money is that they've been defeated to legislate or to legislate laws that can create good environment for our young people, or for the generation to get employment, and that's why they resort to 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 mobilize, or they resort to give out money for mobilization. Because let's take for example, if all the systems were working, let's say like the system were working, eh, we have investors who are coming into the country and building up these factories, and that one creates employment. We provide room, especially for those who are starting the businesses. Their businesses can thrive, and they can thrive if the taxes that they have, friendly taxes to the young business are growing, then, or accessibility of capital for people who want to start the business. I don't think it can reach a point whereby the people who are in their businesses can just decide to go or be hired to go and disrupt a meeting like the one that happened to Rigathi Gachagua Church, which we need to speak about before we close in the next 10 minutes, because we're waiting for that interview, and if those modalities or points are put in place, I don't think you can find time to get these young people on the street to come and do some of the things that they're doing. Or what do you think? Oh, did I lose me? Good. Oh,
No, I'm around.
okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Uh, I believe what we're saying that those modalities, legislations, and political solution. I've said we have a problem, and we have to admit that we have problems as a nation. And these problems, and the way we have said, say these problems are we have the system problem. The problem is within the system, and this system must be dealt with. Without dealing with the system, I can assure you that here today, that the 2027 election, the next president is going to be William Ruto, and that's
Mm.
the system favors him. The system favors him. That's why he doesn't want to revolve this system. He knows very well that when he tampers the system, he's going to be kicked out automatically by the system because the system has favored Kibaki twice. The same system is going to favor him twice, and that is this IBC panel. And that's
Mhm.
why we wanted, even the people knows, even Raila knows. Not that people tend to pretend. Everybody knows very well that the problem is the system. And once we dealt with it, we are
Mm.
going to do away with this issue of
But
corruption. We're going to do away with this issue of this legislation we're talking about and these modalities. And the reason why I'm talking about that issue is because the leaders who are in the system, you can get someone who is a good person to parliament, and after 2 years, he has been affected by the disease. So you wonder how this person we knew yesterday is the same like other MPs. Even the people whom we knew,
mm.
there's certain disease. Once you are in government, you are either infected or affected, and that's why we are saying this system is the problem.
But when you're talking about system, I don't think the system only favors President William Ruto. I think like the system favors the political class, and it brings down to where we have the political parties. If at all we had what we call the democracy in our political parties that has views, we could have been having a very good nation. Because remember, even in our political parties, we have they're being micromanaged by the owners, because the political parties have owners and the owners have a say. If you want to see that, if you want to know that the political parties owners kind of like favors all the political class, um, look at the history. When the multipartyism came, we thought that was going to at least expand our democracy, whereby people who do not share the same ideology would go to their various political parties. But what happened? The multi-party democracy opened a room, and we did not regulate our political parties. If you look at Kenya has the majority of political parties that are being formed, and some of them are not being registered to win elections. Some of them are being registered for business purposes. Because you find that there's a party that was registered, a politician will buy that party from you and rebrand the party. So sometimes you don't go through registration. That is one. Secondly, the clear, I would say that the clear vision for a political party. Look at now what has happened uh, in terms of opposition, because that was also the main issue, that you're bringing a political party, so that we can have who checks the government, whether the minority or the majority, depending on how the constitution define it. But now here we are, whereby we have uh, a mongrel a mongrel government, or a mongrel, what the way the president described during the time when Raila Amolo Odinga and His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta had a handshake, and you find that when such handshake happens, what usually comes on the table, the constitution tends to be suspended for a while. Because like right now, the main reason why the Right Honorable Prime Minister and William Ruto has come together on the public domain is about, we need Kenya to be very peaceful, so we need to work together. So where is that spirit of democracy? And when the members of ODM will tell you, we are not in government, you know we are not in government, and they want you to believe that, you know so the system has favored, because even today, you see, like, for instance, you're not going to be surprised when one time Kalonzo Musyoka works with President William Ruto, because that's how the system has been. And what will bring them? Eh?
Yeah, I want to qualify what you are saying.
Yeah.
I want to agree with you to some extent because you talk about the issue of multi-party democracy. And
Mm-hmm.
this is why I agree with you because the people who fought for multi-party democracy are the people who are currently anti-multi-party because they have ensured that they have some dominant party in their region. That and
Yeah.
anybody who is opposed to their dominant party is being labeled as a rebel. That you are a
Yeah.
rebel to our community, and they want
Mm-hmm.
the community party. Why were they fighting for multi-partyism if they knew that they don't want it to their community? Another thing, you talk about the issue of nomination. Nomination also happens. That's why I still believe that it favors everybody. The system favors them, even the multi-party democracy, the issue of anti-multi-party favors them, nomination favors them because they will tell that we have sort of nominations. You can go through primaries, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people can decide and go
Yeah.
give direct tickets. Nominations can give direct tickets. At the same
Mm-hmm.
time, the issue of IBC. IBC favors either Raila or whoever is there, even Kalonzo, because the issue of transmission of result from the constituency to tallying center. That's why this issue of commission. Because one day, what if Kalonzo is the one who is being fronted as the president? It will favor him in terms of transmission. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why this system, I believe that it favors them, all of them, provided that the person who will be there at that particular time will get favor from the system. That's why I said that I wanted to qualify what you have said. And
Uh,
also
uh,
this issue of IBC qualifying people that you are qualified to run for governor, you qualify to run for president, or you qualify to run for MC. There are those people who are
mhm.
not qualified, but the system already favor them that you will be qualified even without academic requirements.
Yeah, and this one reminds us. I think you saw the drama about it was about Sakaja when Sakaja was running for governorship. There was a back and forth. He did not clear. He did not. He's not a graduate. Mara ameenda Uganda. He did that and all that. But like at the end of the day, he ended up uh, being cleared to run for the governorship. Talk of those who are being accused, especially like we call it the engineer Sudi was also being accused, so but still the system will always favor them. There's something that you've talked about the IBC, which is very important. This issue of transmission, that's where I think when it comes to transmission, that's where it's usually the catch is. And most of the time, if you're very keen, um, the argument that are usually in the Supreme Court is about transmission. And when you are transmitting, we are talking about verifiable. Was it verifiable? But just imagine the figures between the time when it is counted in the constituency and it reaches the bombers. Between here, figures zinachange. Sasa sijui zinachange aje. Now that is not sorted out. And another thing also that we can also talk about IBC, especially with our system. We are still manual. Let me 99% of our election, or when we elect, we are going for voting is manual. 99%. The only things that are digital is one, you can be identified digitally, yeah, electronically or otherwise. Then after you being identified electronically, the counting is manual, yeah. And another thing that is electronically is submission of results to the tallying center or to the Bomas of Kenya. Those are the only two specific areas that we use. We are using the electronic, and that's where we still have a problem. We cannot know who won, because even if you open the servers will not tell you who won. but the servers will tell you what was transmitted because you feed the server. Because let's say, for example, if you are identified electronically and you vote also electronically, the server could tell what candidate did you vote for. But in our case, it is not very easy to know who you voted for, but it is very easy to know how many people were identified electronically. But you cannot know. Out of 10 people who are identified electronically, you cannot know whether 2 voted for a particular president or 8 voted for a particular president. It is not very easy. So majority is manual, and that's why you find that sometimes they find room to change those figures when they transmit. If it could have been a situation whereby it is counted electronically, you cannot change that because after you are counted electronically, that is what is going to be transmitted. And you cannot change it. And it will have a paper trail when you vote. Or am I not, my friend? Yeah, somebody is asking, I hope
What I want to say, what
Kevin Obura is doing fine. Gibson Connor is asking, hope Kevin Obura is doing well.
what Okay, you respond to that one later. What I want to say is that the issue of this IBC thing,
Yeah.
and we have talked about it here before. The IBC thing, the issue here has been even the 2017 election. It was
Yeah.
nullified on the ground of process. That the process was not verifiable. There we have just stated the process was not verifiable. The process, not the election is not an event, it's a process. The result
Mm-hmm.
must reflect the process. And
Mm-hmm.
our results have never reflect the process. We talked about the issue of, and the issue here is here about with the register and the voters. You find that in a certain polling station, let us not look at it in the entire process, just concentrate on a polling station. In a polling
Yeah.
station, you have a registered people. This
Mm-hmm.
registered electorate, there's the issue of turnout. Everybody don't turn out. There's a few
Yes.
people who turn out in a polling station. People cast their vote. Then there are those votes which have been rejected, and the votes which has been tallied. The tally does not match with the turnout. That has been the problem. Why is that the tally cannot match with the turnout? And the people turn out. People cast. They are in the ballot box. If those things are in the ballot box,
Yeah.
why they are not tallying? So because of the transmission from
Yeah.
from polling station, you go to constituency. From constituency, what is being
Mm.
reflected at the National Tallying Center in
Yeah.
Nairobi is not what it is in the polling station of Olympics primary. That's what has been the problem. And that's what
And
we be arguing here, that this transmission thing,
yeah.
why can't we do this transmission thing and do away with the National Tallying Center and let us declare president at
Mm-hmm.
Olympic Primary School, or let us declare president at Moi Avenue Primary School. We can
Yeah.
declare president at Kiaru Primary School. We don't need to declare president at Bomas of Kenya.
So that's that, and that's why I agree with you. And I say this in that if maybe I might be not be right, you also has to tell me. You have to tell me. I mean, because when we are looking at it this way, why do we usually get those discrepancies? One, we do get them because when you are identified electronically, yeah, you come and vote manually. So what sometimes happen, you're going to look at, okay, we are looking at Olympic, for example. How many people, when you go to the electronic data where people have been identified or where voters have been identified, yeah, the voters will only show the register, electronic register will only show the people who were identified at that particular polling station, yeah? But it will not tell you who voted for who, yeah? So that's why you find those discrepancies are coming. And sometimes you find that the system has failed. We are reverted back to the manual. Yeah. So those are what brings
Let,
those
let,
yeah.
let me, yeah, I get your point. But in the previous election, 2022, I
Yeah.
was in the inside the polling station up to midnight.
Mm.
I went there intentionally to study. Already I knew that Maraga declared that for null and void under process. So I wanted to know how is this thing working from the process up to declaration. So I was there specifically on a mission. What I noticed, Brother Benson,
Mm.
if you work at a polling station, we have BVR that is going to identify you electronically. At the same time, we have backup that is manual register. So
Yeah.
everybody must be identified manually because BVR do fail. So whenever they fail, you can go to the
Yeah.
record and okay, if they can't catch because we can't wait for it to pick up. We have to go on with the elections. And we people are being actually people are being identified twice. First, you are being identified on the BVR, then the manual register. You must be identified, and you are being marked as someone who has turned out. If we turn out 200 people in a polling station and we
Mm.
cast our vote, then when we cast our vote, but that the tallied, there's some maybe there are 10 rejected, so 190 tallied, and you find that maybe someone has got 150, someone has gotten 40, and when you go to Nairobi at National Tallying Center, you find that the turnout was 600, but the turnout was 200, and we have the manual register at the polling station. Why
Yeah.
is it that we must go to National Tallying Center to get presidential result, and we have the presidential result at Moy Avenue Primary School with the manual register, leave alone this issue of BVR, because people are being identified twice, electronically
Mm.
and manual for backup. That's why I still believe that this issue of transmission, this is where the problem is, and the National Tallying Center, this is where they're getting gap to boost someone, also to reduce for someone.
Okay, Makobura, how are you doing?
Niko vyema, nashukuru. Nimeona mambo imechacha,
Yes.
sana. Mambo ya election iko juu sana.
Mm-hmm.
Na naona hata upande za kwetu nimeona watu wamepigana mpaka wengine wamepelekwa hospitali. Ile tu
Wapi
swali mimi,
wapi huko?
so that's in Kisumu County, Nyakach constituency,
Mm.
southeast ward. I've seen some gentlemen wamepelekwa hadi hospitali.
Yeah.
Na ile swali mimi najiuliza ni kwamba ni lazima watu wakufie kwa hii kitu ya kina hii kitu ya
Baba power.
acha tu nisiseme.
Okay.
I'm perturbed to an extent that I don't even have words to speak to
Mm.
use to describe the kind of stupidity or lack of exposure that is still within our people.
Yeah.
I don't know why people take these elections, a do or die thing. I don't understand why even the people who are contesting for these positions,
Mm.
they're using whichever means to get those positions. I don't really think that is right. Uh, and I think it is good. We should start the conversation at that point before we even get at the election. Because
Okay.
if you have rowdy politicians getting their way into the political, being given, mandate or being given a ticket to go for elections,
Mm.
you cannot expect a verifiable election.
Yeah.
So we have to start with this early stage, like the
Mm.
one that we are talking about, the
Mm.
nominations and elections which are going on for ODM.
Mm.
I've never understood why the ODM elections are ever problematic and chaotic to this manner. And partly these are things that has to be stopped, because if they're not stopped, then it is us, the people of Kenya, it is the people of Kenya who are not getting it right. The moment such kind of confusion has started at this early stage, then there is a possibility of this problematic behavior being transported to the last point where now the elections would be managed by uh, the IEBC. So it's a discussion that we have to talk about as a people. If really we want to get a verifiable, free and fair election, that is my take. You are muted. Maybe before I left, allow me to acknowledge the greetings from Gypsy Corner. Thank you so much, Gypsy Corner. I'm doing good. I thank God. I also can see Batseba and Brenda and everyone. Thank you so much. I hope and believe that you guys are doing good.
Okay, maybe your volume is not clear. That is what Gypsy Corner is saying. But I hope we can go and watch the interview by Rigathi Gachagua. Is sending bombshell over there. He's responding to accusations that were leveled against him. So I want to take this opportunity also to thank everyone who has joined us, Gypsy Corner, Duari, Brenda, for your support. Thank you so much. We'll be here tomorrow. Or Makobura will be having a show tonight discussing about the remarks based on the interview that is going on right now. With those few remarks, thank you so much, and may God bless you so much.
Are we going to?
You want me to stream it?
Yes, I think we should.
Okay, let me see.
Pick it up on this. It just go on this without
this narrative of 10 billion. The purpose was to show the people
increase the volume. And then
a very selfish man. So
the volume is
I did not blackmail.
Let me see.
If I did, Rogers, it would have been accusation number 1 before the Senate. This impeachment was crafted by William Ruto. It was drafted by the National, and I refused to go to State House. He suggested I go to his hotel, the Western Hotel. I refused. And we met somewhere along State House Road in one of the safe houses run by the National Intelligence Service. And between me, that officer, and myself, we had a discussion with the president. Again, I recorded that conversation for posterity because I know William Ruto. I put it on record. Again, he gave me that offer. I told him I'll think about it. I didn't want to have a fight with him because it was not necessary. That officer persuaded me that I should listen to the president. And because he's a man from home, he said, it doesn't matter, whatever it is, just listen to what he has to say.
Who is this officer?
No, I don't want to.
For the sake of our public, you call for an interview, you have to.
Let me explain. So I said, no, I declined. The day I went to the Senate, the first day, that officer again was dispatched by the president. And I refused to see him, but after consultation with my counsels, I agreed to see him. Again, he brought me another offer. I recorded. I am very conflicted. That officer is an innocent man. He's an emissary of the president. He is in service. If I expose him now, he will lose his job. He will be in very difficult circumstances. So on discussion with my family and lawyers, we have agreed that when he retires, and it's not very long from now, we'll be able to release that information. And I have done that because I know his family and I don't want to jeopardize his position. And because he did not come on his free will, he serves the president and he cannot be able to argue with him. I'll have that information. It is ready, it's well stored. And I would like to tell these people not to try to come and read here to get it. It's not here. I've stored it nicely with somewhere, and it's in good position.
Allow me to reel you in, because you're a truthful man, as you say. At the end of the day, if you're giving us allegations, you have to substantiate.
I don't understand. I have told you, because when the president went to that interview, he was asked to substantiate. He refused to substantiate. I have done a lot of substantiation. I've explained to you. I've explained to you why I don't want to receive the information now, but I'll release the information because it's for public information, so that between me and the president, the people can know who is right and who is not right and who is lying to the people of Kenya.
You know what your critics are saying?
Yeah.
Since you heavily funded the presidential campaigns in the Mount Kenya region, that you're asking of this 10 billion, or is it 6.5 billion, whichever the figure, was simply a way of returning your investment? You well know how politics in Kenya
I
is
don't think so,
transactional.
because when I was funding the president, there was no issue. If I needed my money back from him or whatever it is, we'll discuss. I have not asked the president to refund me any money. I'm a leader. That was an investment in the presidential campaign. He was president. I was running it. I too had a responsibility, to spend money on the campaign. And that's why I'm saying I'm not the kind of person to ask him for money. And he knows that, because I'm an astute businessman who have worked for many years and made my own money. And I was in the campaign on my own violation. The president did not force me to be the campaign. I spent my money because I thought it's the right thing to do. I mobilized resources from friends, and I did not ask him. And if I had asked him, he should have said then. He cannot say now, 6 months after. He would have called a meeting of UDA, the PG, put me to task and say, Rigachi here is asking me for this. He would have called some elders, some church people. He never did any of those things, because that is how you do those things.
Okay.
But myself, when he offered me an offer to resign, I talked about it. I did not waste time. I talked about it because that is the situation.
But it's still a narrative. We'd like to substantiate this claim, sir.
I have told you what I need to tell you. And the long and short of it all is that the president wanted to create a narrative with the mountain. And you see, these mountain people are looking at him very closely, because the things he said about me are not the things he is saying today. Okay? When he said I should be his running mate in Karen on May 15th, he had this to say. There were so many other instruments. I looked at many things. I looked at what was required of a deputy president. In the end, we all settled as a team on GACHUGUA, because he's an astute debater, a fantastic grassroots mobilizer, a disciplined and tireless political operative, a successful elected politician and businessman, a principled politician of tremendous resilience and fearless fighter for the right cause, an indefatigable champion. GACHUGUA is a self-made man, a politician of repute, and a public servant whose sole goal is to help others. GACHUGUA is a very passionate leader, a people's person. He speaks about the ordinary people and is concerned about matters to do with farmers. What I like about him is his passion for people issues. He's one of those leaders who are passionate about ordinary people. He's a living example of a true hustler. Then the president is here telling the people of the mountain, the man you gave me is a blackmailer. He goes to Western, he says, man is a tribalist. He goes to Nyanza, he says, this man is a primitive. Give me a break. You are talking to the same people. These same people are the ones he talked to when he wanted my services, when he wanted me to mobilize the mountain people, when he wanted to take advantage of my oratory skills to mobilize votes for him, when he wanted me to articulate people-based issues. Yet, when I say don't demolish houses for innocent people, he says I'm fighting his government. Yet, he was saying I stand for people issues. So I am saying that the mountain people, you can condemn once. You can't condemn twice. What they are saying, William Ruto, you successfully persuaded us to fight our own son, Uhuru Kenyatta. Please, you cannot persuade us to fight Rigathi Gachagua, because we now know you. You came and told us that Uhuru Kenyatta is bad because he is working with Raila Odinga. And Raila Odinga is a very mad man and a very dangerous man, the Lord of Poverty. Today, you are working with Raila Odinga, singing praises for him everywhere. Then the mountain people are looking at him and saying, is this the same man who made us hate Uhuru Kenyatta because he was working with Raila Odinga? Today, he is singing praises for Raila Odinga, taking him all over Africa to be the king of Africa.
Right.
And he wants us now to believe him, that Rigathi Gachagua wanted 10 billion from him? Is this not the same man who came here and told us that Uhuru Kenyatta is a drunkard? Is he not the same man? Now he is here again telling us that our son, Rigathi Gachagua, is incompetent. Our son, Justin Muturi, is incompetent. Our son, Moses Kuria, is corrupt. Our son, Metheka Linturi, is corrupt. Mr. President, I have no capacity to advise you. Nobody can fool the mountain people twice. You fooled them once, they feel very sorry about it. They actually feel very low and very down. I want to assure you, your tricks are now known, your games are known. You will never again in your lifetime make the people of the mountain fight their son or their daughter. They will never do it. You made us hate Uhuru Kenyatta.
Okay.
You made us humiliate him. You told us bad things about him that were not true. You said he was incompetent. You are the one who is incompetent now. It is very clear for everybody. Everybody is incompetent except you. Even now you are saying your new Mr. Esa is very competent. You are the only one who is competent. Everybody else who disagrees with you, everybody else who has a problem with your modus operandi, anybody else who has a problem with your leadership is incompetent.
Okay.
You are the only competent person in this country.
So, and with all due respect, we'll treat what you've said earlier on as allegations because you still haven't substantiated them. I have to ask you this because it's a multi-pronged question. When exactly did your friendship, your working relationship with President William Ruto start, and when did the rain start beating it?
Probably before we come to that, you said that he said I fight small people. I don't fight anybody. He says that I was fighting Farouk Kibet. Farouk Kibet is not a small man. He is a co-president in this country. Farouk Kibet runs the government. Everybody reports to him. The Inspector General of Police, the head of public service, cabinet ministers. William Ruto issues instructions to cabinet ministers through Farouk Kibet. Ministers tremble at his very sight. So, Farouk Kibet wanted to give instructions to Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua was elected by the people of Kenya alongside William Ruto. There is no way I would have allowed Farouk Kibet to give instructions to me. And let me tell you, Rogers, Farouk Kibet was trying to run my office, make appointments for people to come and see me. And initially, I thought it's okay, maybe that's how William Ruto wants us to work. Until I learned that Farouk Kibet was collecting money from people to come and see me, and I have nothing to give them in return. And I went and I told the president, Mr. President, I'm your principal assistant. Please, your personal assistant cannot give me instructions. And if you want to give me any instructions, you give them yourself and I obey them to the letter. But you cannot use your PA to order me around. And your PA is taking advantage to make money from people. And I told you, Mr. President, for your information, because I'm your advisor in this matter, I will be failing in my duty if I don't advise you and tell you what is happening.
Okay.
All the people Farouk Kibet is clearing to come and see you, he's collecting money. And there's hue and cry in town. And you, State House is getting very disrespected because it has become a center of corruption. All appointments of people coming to see you, Kibet is collecting money. And Mr. President, I think you need to check this. But if you want to continue with it, tell him to keep off my office. He is not going to make appointments in my office, and he cannot tell me whom to see.
So can you substantiate this? Farouk Kibet is not here to defend himself.
But the president raised a matter. You asking me for an answer?
Yes, yes.
See, I must give you an answer.
But
I'm not the one.
responding to your
I've never raised that issue.
Okay.
It's the president who raised the matter. I'm answering
I'm just
to the people of Kenya.
countering what you've said.
But I'm
You've
saying,
said that he's the one.
But I'm saying, Rogers, the president said that I'm fighting with small people. The answer is that Farouk Kibet is not a small person.
So you're fighting big people. Fine.
I was not fighting big people.
Yes.
I was telling the president, I'm elected. I'm not going to take instructions from your personal assistant. And I'm not going to allow him to push corruption in my office. If you want him to practice corruption in your office, you can go ahead.
But you just said he was collecting money for people to meet with you.
Oh, I learned.
Yes.
I learned the few people he had asked me to see. Later on, I heard noise in town that people are going to see the deputy president. Farouk has collected money on his behalf and he's not doing anything for us. That is when I got alarmed. I faced Kibet and he told me off. He said, I must make money. Hii serikali tumetafuta, mimi nimeumia na William Ruto miaka mingi. And actually when I talked to the president about Faruk Kibet, he said, wewe achana na Faruk atafute pesa kidogo ya kukula bana. Hii mtu ameumia na mimi miaka mingi, akipata hapa kidogo kidogo iko makosa gani? So I'm telling you, when the president said that I'm fighting small people, that is a man who is running the country, you know? And everybody trembles. I'm the only man who would tell him off.
Okay.
When he says that I'm fighting small people,
Itumbi.
I don't know Itumbi. You can see the things he was writing about me. And Dennis Itumbi, the chief propagandist for William Ruto. Again, he's not a small man. This government of William Ruto is run by Itumbi and Faruk. This Itumbi, all these statements you see ministers issuing, like the one DCI has issued about the violence yesterday in Mweki. It's Dennis who crafts them. He crafts the messages, and you can see even that is language. He gives them to read. And my problem with that so-called small man is that they work in cohort with the president. And he hangs around State House. And if you have a discussion with the president and he doesn't like the way it is going, he sends him a text, and Dennis walks into the president's office and says, Mr. President, you are late for the next meeting. And the president brings the meeting to a closure. I had not realized that until I studied. I saw there is a pattern. And anytime I had many issues with the president that were not pleasant, I would face him and say, this is not right, this is not good, and I would win the argument, and he doesn't like it, and he would like to bring a meeting to a closure. Somehow Dennis walks in, and I saw a pattern. So one day we were launching, the president was going to sign, he was going to sign the housing levy law, bill into law. And I was with the president in his office, the two of us, and I had a very hot conversation with him. And I was telling Mr. President, Kenyans are not interested in affordable housing. And people are very unhappy about the taxation. And Mr. President, only a fool doesn't change his mind. Let us look this thing. And please, from the feedback I'm getting from the ground, and Mr. President, I was elected with you. I mean, it's my job to tell you what the people are saying. And since we are elected together on a joint ticket, when I see we are going down and I don't tell you, it is not fair. Then when we were just continuing, I think he took a phone, Itumbi comes. And he said, Mr. President, we need to go. And I told Itumbi, my friend, next time you interrupt me when I'm with the president, you know who I am. Get off. I am the deputy president. I was elected with the president here. Who are you to come and interrupt our discussion? Do you know what we are discussing? The president just looked and said, I think we go. Okay? So that is how I raised that issue. And I told him, Mr. President, how do you get these people to come and interrupt a meeting with your deputy all the time? So that those are the issues he was saying.
Well noted.
I was fighting with small people.
Just to take you back briefly, because we're stuck of time, how much did you fund President William Ruto's campaign?
No, I will not go into that. It's not necessary. I don't think I need to go into the details because I was also a candidate. I did not necessarily fund William Ruto. I funded the campaign because I was part of the campaign. And I don't think I need to go into those details.
Then tell me this: when did the rain start beating your friendship? When exactly?
It's not friendship, Lily, but we went into a covenant with the president. And the president was here many times, here in this house, down, beaten, harassed, frustrated, and he would come here for comfort. And my wife would pray for him. And we went a long journey from 2018 all the way to 2022. And I believed him and I trusted him. And since I'm a man of honor, I took his word for what it was. And we agreed many things, but we never wrote anything down. And that is a mistake that I made, that I regret today. And my community, the Mount Kenya people, regret today. But they have forgiven me because William Ruto is very deceptive. To deceive Rigathi Gachagua is nothing, because he deceived bishops, reverends, pastors, everybody, all of us, our own community, a very respectable community were deceived by one man. So I fell for it, and we agreed many things. And I went into it blindly. But as soon as we came in, the man changed completely. And all the things we had agreed, he became very arrogant. He said he's president. He said that he'll do whatever he wants. And I can tell you where I started finding things are not right is we had agreed on several portfolios for my people, because we had agreed, much as I'm a national leader and I'll be your deputy to assist you to manage the affairs of this country, I'll protect the interests of the Mount Kenya people in your government, because they have elected you and they give you 47% of the vote. And it was agreeable. And all the things we had agreed in terms of portfolios, interior, agriculture, water, lands, finance, he honored all those things. But then he was very cunning. All my ministers from my region, he put PSs from his community under them. And after some time, my ministers told me they are flower girls. He would just work with the PSs directly without any reference to them. And I realized he had conned me and the community.
So that's when the issue started.
That is one of the issues.
Okay.
Number two, he keeps on saying people are tribal. He has accused me of tribalism. When we were appointing PSs, I asked him, since I was a public servant for a long time, we need institutional memory. These PSs are civil servants. Much as they served Uhuru Kenyatta, they are career civil servants. Mr. President, why don't we retain several of them for continuity instead of bringing everybody who is new? He said, no, hiyo watu wa Kwende, hiyo ni watu ya Azimio, ni watu ya Uhuru.
But there were some PSs who were retained.
No, let me explain.
Let
me explain. That's where I am. He said, wa Kwende hiyo watu. Staki kuwaona. We'll get our own people, they will learn on the job. I said, Mr. President, we are new, me and you, we have just come. If we have new ministers, we have new PSs, the country must continue. Why, please, from my people, from my community, the region, I have 5-6 people I would like you to retain. And for you, as you can retain what? Then we are, okay, he overruled me, I kept quiet. Then we worked on it and we agreed on the list. And we got all new people. Okay? And I went home.
All new people?
All new people. In agreement between me and him.
Okay.
I came here. At 7, the list came out. The list had changed. From his community, he retained 5 PSs. From his community, he retained Belio Kipsang. He retained Julius Koril. He retained Kipto. He retained Kimtai and Dr. Tum. From my region, he retained one guy called Hinga. I called him. I said, Mr. President, I requested you that we retain a few PSs from my region who are working with Uhuru for continuity and from your people, but you told me you don't want anybody old, you want new people. But Mr. President, from your community, you have retained 5 people. This is not fair. You have started shortchanging me right in the beginning of our government. He told me, Regadi, Kama you want to be the appointing authority, my friend, you run for president, you can appoint the PSs you want. This is my government. Now, Ukwende, and he switched off the phone. That is, and when I hear him
that was
talking,
in 2022.
Yeah, 2022. That was the 2nd month in government. So when I hear him talking about tribalism, that Rigathi Gachagua is tribal. When you look at the way he reappointed PSs from his community and chased away all the other PSs from all the other communities, except his own community. When you look at the appointment of CEOs in parastatus, there are more than 60 from his community. And he talks about tribalism. You know, I've heard him saying hatutaki ukabila. You know, hii Kenya ni yetu sisi wote. Sisi bana hatutaki ukabila. Mnikubalie niunganisha wa Kenya wote. Hii Kenya ni yote sisi yote. Then more than 60 CEOs of parastatus are from his community.
Okay.
That is where I just realized things are not what I thought they would be. And when I tried to talk to him, he was very abusive. And I kept quiet because I didn't want to have a fight with him. I just, played along. And we just continued, you know. And then along the way, he started purging people from my community. He wanted to get rid of the Commissioner General of KRI, Mr. Mboro. And I said, no, Mr. President, we agreed with you that 1 for 1. I mean, if you want to change Mboro because he was Uhurus, you replace him with somebody else. He said, okay, no problem, let him go, we will replace him. When the replacement came, he took me around, he gave it to somebody else from another region, you know, and like that. And then we went to Earth Water, he sacked somebody called Engineer Thoita. Okay. Like that, we went to the sports fund, he removed some.